You are now listening to 1 Timothy 4:13 Project with the undershepherds of the Cathedral of Praise Philippines, Pastor David E. Sumrall and Sister Beverley Sumrall.
Welcome again to Project 1 Timothy chapter 4. I'm Pastor Sumrall, the pastor of the Cathedral of Praise. And every night, we just sit down and read through the scripture reading for that day. This year, we're doing the New Testament and the book of Psalms. Next year, we're going to do the Old Testament together. Now, tonight we're doing Matthew chapter 20, beginning with verse 20. But first, Sister Bev is going to read the Psalms to us.
I'm Sister Bev. Today, we're looking at Psalm 17, and it says at the top of that psalm, a prayer of David. Well, there are certainly words in this psalm that show us clearly it is a prayer. And whenever we see a prayer, we are seeing a vertical song or a vertical psalm, something that is directed to the Lord. What are those kind of words? Well, in verse 1, O Lord, hear my plea for justice. That's definitely vertical. That's definitely directed to the Lord as a prayer. Listen to my cry for help. Pay attention to my prayer, for it comes from honest lips. So we have three different phrases that are definitely indicating that this is a prayer. Hear my plea, listen to my cry, pay attention to my prayer. Then in verse 2, declare me innocent, for you see those who do right. Sometimes in life, we have this thinking that no one sees us. And sometimes if we think no one sees us, it's tempting to take shortcuts and to do things with just a little bit, oh, well, I don't really need to take that step. I could just jump over and I could do it this way. But it's so worth it to take the time that it takes to do things the right way. Why? Because God sees those who do right. Verse 3, you have tested my thoughts and examined my heart in the night. You have scrutinized me and, the answer is, found nothing wrong. I am determined not to sin in what I say. This is like Daniel, whose enemies scrutinized him. They watched him, trying to find something to accuse him about, but they found nothing. How much more God, who knows our every thought. When God knows our every thought, may He look at us and find, wow, you've done nothing wrong. You truly are someone who has set their heart in following after the Lord. Verse 4, I have followed your commands, which keep me from following cruel and evil people. Well, this is really important because in this life, there are all kinds of people, and we have to be able to sort one from another. If you've ever been in a really foggy situation, maybe you live near a lake or near a river, and the water in the morning, the fog comes up off of the water, and it's foggy in your area. And then you try to drive in that fog. It's so hard to see right ahead of you. So hard to see, where should I go? Am I supposed to turn here? You might end up in a ditch. So what do? You get close to the car in front of you and follow their lights that are on the back of the car. They're usually colored red, and you can see them through the fog, and you keep your eyes on those lights, and they keep you from going in the wrong direction. That's the same thing. When we follow His commands or His word, it keeps us on the right path, each step going in the right direction. We know that by keeping ourselves filled with the Word of God, following His Word. Then we're not going to be influenced by wrong influences. He will keep us from following cruel and evil people. My steps, it says, have stayed on your path. I have not wavered from following you. Oh, may the Lord keep us and help us and fill us with Himself and His Word, that we could also say this, we have not wavered in following Him. Amen.
Matthew chapter 20, verse 20. We'll finish up chapter 20 tonight. Then the mother of James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus with her sons. She knelt respectfully to ask a favor. "What is your request?" he asked. She replied, "In your kingdom, please let my 2 sons sit in places of honor next to you, one on your right and the other on your left." Wow. This is called mama is wanting to promote her children. This is called mom's will, not dad's will. Now, this is beyond a stage mother. This is a ministerial mother wanting to promote her child in a way that was not God's will. Now, Jesus answered them by saying to them, and remember, they've asked this very respectfully, but Jesus answered them by saying, "You don't know what you're asking." Sometimes people do that, Sometimes people don't know what they're talking about. You don't know what you're asking. "Are you able to drink from the bitter cup of suffering I am about to drink?" "Oh, yes," they replied, "we are able." Jesus told them, "You will indeed drink from my bitter cup. But I have no right to say who will sit on my right or my left. My Father has prepared those places for the ones he has chosen." When the 10 other disciples heard what James and John had asked, they were indignant. Now, notice a few things here. James and John used their mother as the channel. Now, this was their request, what James and John had asked in verse 24. So you had to tie that back up to verse 20 and realize this idea didn't come from mama. This was the sons using the mother for what we would call today self-promotion. Now, I want you to notice, self-promotion, number 1, causes strife. The other 10 were indignant. When you start promoting yourself, people are going to be upset who work with you and who are around you. Secondly, I want you to notice that self-promotion causes you to pay the price without the promotion. "Oh, yes, we can drink of the same bitter cup." Okay, you'll drink it. But I can't guarantee you the promotion. I want you to remember that whatever commitments you make to Christ, you will keep that commitment. "We will drink the bitter cup." And Jesus said, "Okay, you will indeed drink from my bitter cup." You said it, and your words will be validated. But he said, "I can't promise who's going to sit at my right or my left." He said, "Yes, you can pay the price, but that doesn't mean you get the promotion." The Father chooses your place. Now, this is one of the great truths that Christians need to learn today. To be content in the place the Father chose for you. It's one of the great truths in ministry. Your young people, they always want to do something different. But they've never learned the joy and the contentment of just being in the place that God chose for you. How many people have come to me all through the decades and offered Sister Bev and I positions here or there and to do this and to do that? And we said, "No, this is the place that God has chosen." "Oh, you can do much greater things." No, this is the place that God has chosen. And you learn to be happy and content in the place that God has chosen for you. Verse 25. Now Jesus has to clean up the mess. So he called the 12 indignant apostles together, and he said, "You know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and the officials flaunt their authority over those under them." He said, "You know how leadership in the world acts?" He said, "But among you, it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must become your slave. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Now, beloved, it's wonderful to have a desire to serve, but the path to that leadership position is literally that. It's a path of servanthood. Not being served by others, but of serving others. He said, you want to be the leader? You serve everybody. You want to be number one? You take last place. It doesn't make sense in the world, but God never made sense to the world. This is the path of leadership. And the path of leadership must create different attitudes in us than those attitudes of the world. Verse 29. As Jesus and the disciples left the town of Jericho, a large crowd followed behind him. 2 blind men were sitting beside the road. When they heard that Jesus was coming that way, they began shouting, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." "Be quiet," the crowd yelled at them, but they only shouted louder, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." The cry for mercy is a cry that he always hears. Above all the voices of this world, the cry of mercy, the cry of a heart for mercy gets his attention. And look at how he responds to the cry for mercy. When he heard them, he stopped and he called, "What do you want me to do for you?" In my Bible, I write the great ask. Can you imagine Jesus looking at you and saying, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Lord," they said, "we want to see." Jesus felt sorry for them, and he touched their eyes, and instantly they could see. Then they followed him. Now there's beautiful truth in here. Jesus said, "What do you want me to do for you?" They could have said, "We want money, we're hungry, we're a beggar, we need some new clothes." But they wanted a solution to their problems. And I've learned that whenever I come before the Father and lay my requests before him, I don't want to pray about the symptoms. I want to pray about the causes. The symptom would be the poverty. The symptom of blindness would be the beggar. The symptom of blindness would be poor clothes. But the cause of it all was blindness. When you ask God for solutions, not band-aids for the symptoms. And I like the last phrase, then they followed him. When Jesus does something wonderful for you, follow him. Thank you again for being a part of us tonight and allowing us to be a part of your life tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow night.
Thank you for joining us today on the 1 Timothy 4:13 project with the under-shepherds of the Cathedral of Praise Philippines, Pastor David E. Sumrall and Sister Beverley Sumrall. Catch their podcasts on all leading podcast platforms and listen through DZBR 531 or tune in online at www.bible.radio. The Cathedral of Praise is a church fully committed to Jesus Christ and His Word. Our main campus is located at 350 Taft Avenue, Metro Manila, Philippines. For a full list of COP campus locations and service schedules, visit us at cathedralofpraisemanila.com.ph. Tune in again tomorrow for another inspiring reading from the New Testament and Psalms.